afternoon, another incident of a woman being assaulted on a bike trail, this time resulting in physical injuries, has been reported in Rochester. The police department says a woman was found along 10th Avenue Southeast in the early hours of this morning with injuries to her face. According to investigators, she was sleeping on the nearby bike path when a man approached her, hit her in the face several times, and threatened to do her more harm. The woman says she got away and ran to a home nearby for help. This most recent alleged attack differs slightly from the two prior reported incidents that involved female joggers. However, the descriptions of the suspect nearly match, reporting a black male in his early 20s, but differ on height. The first report says this suspect was around 6 feet tall, wearing a Minnesota Twins beanie and red pants, while this most recent description says he was short, wearing a blue sweatshirt and multicolored pants. On Sunday morning, RPD says a woman running near 16th Street Southwest reported a man grabbed her from behind, simulated sex acts before she was able to break free and get away. Police say that incident is similar to one reported in April of this year involving a female runner near Soldiers Field. If you do have any information, you are asked to call this number on your screen. It is Friday and feeling a bit cooler than normal out there. Storm Track 3 meteorologist Sarah Knox joining us. Sarah, are we going to see a warm up or is it going to stay a little bit chilly out there?
I'm going to tell you, we are going to see a warm-up, Jess, but it's important to specify who will be seeing that warm-up because look at this spectrum of color on this map. Current temperatures ranging from the low 60s to the low 80s. 81 in Mason City, Charles City right now, 80 in Cresco. Meanwhile, as we go north, Austin 79, Rochester only 67 degrees. And yeah, I already pointed out Zumbrota at 62. It even gets cooler a little further to the north that you travel. Now, all of that is due in part to the activity on satellite and radar showing us that where the cloud cover has been through most of the day has been further to the north. So where we've been seeing the sunshine, temperatures have really been allowed to rally. But clouds are starting to encompass the area, mostly cloudy across the area currently. And we're starting to see some of these pop-up showers, a few storms, a few areas of lightning here or there. This is what I will be watching over the next couple hours because this is very summer-like. And as it moves further to the north, it's going to be interacting with some cooler air, as we saw. Temperatures further north are in the greens, in the 70s and the 60s. So we'll see just how much fuel these can go. But if they do decide they want to move to the east, they're going to be getting a little more of that fuel where we've seen more of that sunshine. And Jess, we could maybe get some pockets of heavy rainfall before the night is done. So I'll give you another update, what I'm expecting throughout the evening. That's all coming up in just a bit.
The price of an education is rising in Rochester. The University of Minnesota is now responding to a proposed tuition hike we first told you about on Monday. Students are looking at paying an additional 6.5% more to the college, even as academic programs are being cut. KIMT News 3 Zeppenberg is joining us live in downtown Rochester. Having I understand, the university has been hearing public comments about this proposal. What are you learning?
Well, Jess, the big public hearing the Board of Regents had on Thursday had a lot of differing views on the overall budget for 2026, especially as 3.5% of federal funding is up in the air going forward. But the U of M says the proposal is for the next fiscal year as it navigates what it calls unprecedented challenges facing higher education. Under the proposal, undergraduate students in Rochester would see some of the highest tuition rate hikes at that 6.5%, like you mentioned. The same increase would impact Twin City students. Meanwhile, the U of M says its Crookston and Duluth campuses would see a 4% jump, with more students paying 5% more in tuition. Finally, out-of-state students would see the biggest bill, paying an additional 7.5%. The potential increase in costs has been divisive.
In 2020, the university and the nation and the global community were facing a pandemic, the university employees made a sacrifice to take a pay cut to help the university weather that period and keep tuition increases for families and students to a minimum.
In the short term, it's going to have an effect on the students and make it harder for them to pay for their classes and all of that. But in the long term, it's going to provide more money for
The University of Minnesota wants to continue to hear feedback on the proposal before it officially passes from the university community across the board. They'll have until June 17th to send that feedback in on the Regents website. Live in Rochester, Evan Berg, KIMT News 3.
Thank you so much, Evan. The Board of Regents is set to vote on the proposed budget at a special meeting in the Twin Cities. That's on June 18th. Well, school may be out for the summer, which is when new data shows we should be thinking about suicide prevention. While many may think the winter holiday months are when reports of self-harm tend to spike, the CDC says the highest rates of suicide are in June, followed by May and then July. The numbers tend to lag behind a bit with that data coming from 2022. But it does show December actually had the lowest reports of self-harm. The data also shows those under 25 in Minnesota are seeing lower suicide rates. A prevention coordinator for NAMI Minnesota does emphasize that there's no safe time of year when it comes to suicide.
Sometimes people think that the holiday season has the most number of suicides, and the summer there's relatively fewer suicides, and the statistics show actually that it's the opposite.
Scientists are still trying to figure out why suicide rates sometimes spike in the spring and summer. If you or someone you know is struggling, you can call 988 or text that number. It's free and confidential 24/7. Overnight, Israel launched a massive attack on Iran, targeting top military leaders along with nuclear weapon facilities and scientists. Our political consultant, Race Hardy, says those events halfway across the world will be felt here. Hardy says you'll soon be paying more at the pump as a result. Shortly after the attack, the price of crude oil increased to more than $70 a barrel. He's surprised Israel's attack did not include economic targets like oil wells. Iran's economy is supported by state-run oil enterprises. Hardy says investors are already worried about impacts on their money. Many are buying up gold and driving up the price. He believes nuclear capabilities aren't the only reason behind this attack.
Quite a bit of this is changing a focus away from Gaza by Israel, and to keep a state of emergency so that the current regime stays out of court, because they will not be in court while Israel is at war.
Hardy there is referring to the ongoing corruption trial involving Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's also concerned about the conflict spreading to other countries in the Middle East. If you have plans to visit Zolman Zoo in Byron this weekend, sadly, a familiar face will no longer be there to greet you. In a post on social media, the zoo announced an older female wolf had to be humanely euthanized. According to the post, she arrived at Oxbow Park as a pup in 2009 and lived to the age of 16. She'll be remembered as a spunky girl who loved to play in the hose and, like good dogs do, roll in smelly enrichment. Zoo staff say 16 years old is beyond the normal lifespan of a wolf in captivity and nearly double the average lifespan of a typical wild wolf. Now looking ahead to next week in Mason City, where drivers will experience a road closure. Starting Monday, the city says 9th Street Southwest between Indian Head Drive and South Eisenhower Avenue won't be accessible. The road will remain closed for approximately 4 days for street panel repairs, which once again are scheduled to start on June 16th. Also looking ahead this afternoon, Albert Lee is set to celebrate the summer with the 2025 4th of July Jamboree. It's a multi-day event from July 3rd to the 6th. Food, music, and family fun, all from the Albert Lea Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as the Albert Lea Freeborn County Chamber of Commerce. It kicks off July 3rd with food vendors at the North Broadway parking lot from noon to 8. The annual parade then starts at 6, stretching from the fairgrounds to Central Park. And on July 4th, festivities include a flea market at Skyline Plaza, a car show on Broadway, and fireworks over Fountain Albert Lea Lakes starting at 10 p.m. Activities then continue through July 5th and conclude on the 6th with a boat parade on Fountain Lake, as well as more food vendors. Gotta have that.
Cost of our materials are increasing, so it's hard to predict exactly how much it's going to cost us to build a home.
Budget cuts are hammering the cost of home building in Minnesota. How the funding losses are impacting Habitat for Humanity. And later, a celebration worth singing about. We'll introduce you to the members of Voice Essence Vintage Voices as the group marks 10 years of making music.
The sunshine and some blue sky is having a lot of us get out there and sing this Friday, but it's not blue for everyone. We're talking some cloud cover, even a few showers popping up. I'll let you know where the trouble spots can be found.
That's fine. We don't have a heart out. Still dealing with some clouds on this Friday and a bit cooler than I think many of us are used to feeling. Storm Track 3 meteorologist Sarah Knox joining us. Sarah, Austin, Charles City, what are we seeing across our area?
Yeah, two cities that look very similar. We've got some blue sky to be seen, some cloud cover, but one city is much warmer than the other. And if I included Rochester in this, and it'd be both cities are much warmer than one of them. We'll get to that in just a moment, though. I do want to, of course, note that both have sunshine right now. You can see a little bit of that cloud cover in the distance in both cities. It's nice, though. Not a bad way to finish off this work week. Things are looking good, and the air is a little cleaner, so we finally get to see some of that blue sky versus a milky white sky that we've been dealing with through these last couple days. Yes, we're not all in the green quite yet, as we see many of our North Iowa counties and cities, including Mason City, still in the yellow. Yellow is not the worst it could be. Moderate air quality, meaning yes, there are still some particulates to be found, but generally things have gotten a lot better across the upper Midwest. I'd love to see all the green. We can at least breathe a little sigh of relief there for a moment. Now on to those temperatures. So I showed Austin and Charles City. The difference? Only a couple degrees. 81 in Charles City, 79 in Austin. And here's what would happen if I had shown Rochester, the bigger difference there. 67 in Rochester right now. So just as Jess noted, cooler than what a lot of us are used to when it comes to June. Look at Zumbrota, though, sitting at 62. And I believe it's a little difficult to see, but even in the corner here in Wisconsin, we're starting to see a little blue stick through. That means temperatures closing in the 50s. Yeah, a little chilly out there, due in part to all this activity. It's kind of similar to yesterday. Many of us further to the north dealt with the clouds, the rain, so we kept cooler, and many of us further to the south got the sunshine. And that's generally how the day has gone. But over the last 3 hours, we've seen clouds are starting to make their way across portions of the I-90 corridor further south across North Iowa. And these clouds do come with a risk of some of these little pop-up showers because of that sunshine, a little more energy put into the atmosphere. So some of these are starting to bubble up and even bringing a little lightning with them. We can see that tiny little spot right there just outside of St. James. I'll be watching these cells, but also further to the south where we're just starting to see some very new development. Generally, most of us will remain dry, so the sunset forecast is looking pretty darn good, I'll admit, but a little cooler. Again, the further north you go, you're going to find more the 60s. The further south, these numbers may be in the 70s still. It's not going to be a bad one, though, so enjoy it while we have our Friday. Now, who could be seeing some of the rainfall? Future Check has a good look at that. Picking up on the general activity we are seeing mainly to the west, this chance actually looking to move further to the south. We'll see which route it decides to go following some of the winds by 10 p.m. though, so it's slow moving. We are looking at a few of those cells coming through North Iowa, so don't be surprised if you hear some rumbles of thunder and some just a little bit of rainfall lingering into Saturday, which, by the way, we're heading into Father's Day weekend, so tea time tomorrow, morning, afternoon, absolutely. After that, though, you may want to wait because the rain starts to come in and then it lingers into Father's Day. Not looking to be the best day to get out there with Dad, but definitely okay, at least the start of the day. We'll be watching for those scattered storms, mostly cloudy skies, temperatures comfortable. And here on the 10-day forecast, that unsettled pattern, we've settled into it, at least for the start of the next work week. Jess.
Thanks, Sarah. Minnesota's Habitat for Humanity says its mission to expand affordable housing in the Twin Cities is at risk due to proposed federal budget cuts. Amid the uncertainty, work continues to expand home ownership opportunities. Derek James stopped by a project in Edina to learn about what's being done to fill the gap.
Buzzing saws, the hum of a lawnmower,
no, you're good. Now you can
and
take
the
off.
scurrying of volunteers. Final touches are being put on this Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity home.
Last year we helped 139 families achieve home ownership.
The organization continues to build forward amid a growing number of challenges.
The cost of our materials are increasing, so it's hard to predict exactly how much it's going to cost us to build a home. And then there's just uncertainty on the federal level about the funding and some of the impacts that would have on us.
Locally, the proposed federal budget cuts could result in a funding loss of $4 to $5 million per year.
Does that make the mission even more important for you as an organization?
Well, if you look at the cost of housing, which has just skyrocketed, our families' incomes haven't. They've stayed relatively flat. The American dream of home ownership gets further and further out of reach for families. And so We need to double our efforts. We need to work with our partners like we have here today with Apple Ford.
This is the first time we have employees from our stores here to help finish a home for a family. We get to come in and kind of make all the magic happen at the end, which is so rewarding.
That magic also comes from AmeriCorps volunteers. 2 of them are working on this home site.
Oh, this is fun.
Last week, a federal judge issued a temporary block on the Trump administration's cancellation of hundreds of millions of dollars in AmeriCorps grant funding and thousands of workers in about 24 states, including Minnesota. The decisions being made in Washington could alter Habitat's plans, but for now, community support is helping hammer away at home insecurity.
We just keep on working. We roll up our sleeves and we figure out how we can help families.
Apple Autos is hosting a one-day to restore event on Saturday, June 21st at all 3 locations to collect household donations for Habitat for Humanity Restores. Still ahead, a sing-song celebration this weekend. Meet the magic behind Vocal Essence Vintage Voices as they mark 10 years of making music all new next. I've sent that like 3 times. I don't know why it's not showing up. It says it's sent. Do you think something's happened? Because like it's super slow, it seems to like. Okay, can we just use that VO then? Thank you. This weekend, a Minneapolis choral program is celebrating 10 years of nurturing purpose, creative expression, and community for hundreds of seniors. This is the home of Vocal Vintage Voices, nearly 50 members strong, all 55-year-olds and up. The choir accommodates elder singers by offering large print music scores and lyric sheets and by providing chairs to sit on. Vintage Voices singers from Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Plymouth Street meet for 12 weeks separately and perform this weekend to celebrate the group's birthday. The Vintage Voices 10th anniversary celebration is being held in Minneapolis this Saturday, starting at noon. Sarah.
Thank you, Jess. You know, things that'll make you sing. Some decent weather on the way, but pretty unsettled as well. We'll be watching for plenty of rainfall over the next several days. Drier on Juneteenth Thursday.
All right, thanks for watching KIMT News 3 at 4. As always, we hope you join us for KIMT News 3 at 5.